Shawn Mendes,
Hey,
welcome.
thanks, man.
Nice to see you, man.
You too.
How's it going? So, why In My Blood for the first track on the record?
I guess when you're listening through a record, usually what happens is there's one, when you're listening through them all, and then you're like, oh, that's obvious. That's a single.
Yeah.
And for me, when I was listening to the record, it was really hard to tell what. There was like a few that I really felt strongly about. But In My Blood had this other extra layer to it, which was with the concept, which what it was about. Overcoming fears of anxiety, and as a songwriter and as a person, that was the most I've ever put into a record, and so that was the thing, and I was definitely really scared because it's had nothing like I've done in the past,
Right. I mean, so how are you doing with that right now?
Good. I mean, I think the thing is about anxiety is that it comes in phases and it's different for everybody. And in a moment when I was having it, I wrote a song about it, and I'm great right now. But I mean, I'm I'm super proud of that record.
It's something I struggle with too, man.
Yeah.
Like it's every day, and I've had to go see people for it to
Yeah.
deal with anxiety. I think that when people like you sing about it, when you're able to be kind of vulnerable like that, it really means a lot to
It
people.
becomes much more normal for whatever normal means.
But is that on your mind? Like,
Yeah.
this is normalizing a little bit. This is making it okay.
Yeah, man. I think and the only way progression is going to happen is by talking about it and by allowing everybody to talk about it. It just becomes more of a normal thing, and hopefully in 10 years from now, nobody is really worried about it. And hopefully 10 years from now, we have better ways of dealing with it because people talk about it and they don't suppress it,
Well, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of systemic changes that need to happen then too. But there's a
Yeah,
line here.
exactly.
I'm looking through my phone again, feeling anxious, afraid to be alone again. I hate this. Is that a specific moment you can bring yourself to?
Yeah, I mean, just social media and like bringing your people on our phones all the time and realizing like if you even try to, if you put your phone down and then leave your house without your phone, it's a crazy experience.
Yeah.
You find that you're just like, sometimes you're just sitting there looking at people being like, what would I be doing? I'd be on my phone in this moment right now.
I went to see Jack White the other day.
Oh, cool.
And he has a no phone policy at his
So does
concert.
Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
Oh no, at his show, you mean?
At his show.
Ed Sheeran actually doesn't have a phone.
Yeah, that must be lovely, hey?
Yeah.
I think about it sometimes. I really do.
I do too. I don't
Yeah.
think I'd be able to deal with it
Yeah.
because I would suck. But Ed really, really loves it.
Well, speaking of anxiety and speaking of phones, that's where I first saw you. Like, I remember having Vine because I wanted to see people fall off ladders or whatever it was, And then there was this kid in Ontario, and then you were learning how to play guitar.
Probably, yeah.
You were learning how to play guitar. I remember seeing one of you playing for like a school assembly, and people were screaming at the school assembly, and I went, well, something's going on here.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the next thing you know, you're this
That was
chick.
at the YMCA.
Here in Toronto?
Yeah.
What was the moment that you knew things were going to be different for you? Can you pinpoint a moment where you went, this is not a normal thing to happen to a kid?
Yeah. When I came down to Toronto and there was this meetup of Viners, and I remember going to the square and not really knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But then it's a difference that when you see 300,000 as a number and you're like, oh, that's amazing. But you see 300 people in person chasing you, that is a different feeling.
Yeah.
They're different things. You, for some reason, don't think of them as the same. And I think when I came down to Toronto, there was the day, and I came up from the subway station, and there was about 300 people who all turned their heads and started chasing me.
So chasing you?
Literally, they chased me.
Sounds scary, can I say that?
Terrifying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so exciting, being like, this is not normal, People are this excited to see me. That was a big moment.
Honestly, though, are there ever moments where you go,
I'm scared.
You're on. Yeah, I mean, there have to be those, right?
Yeah, no. I mean,
when I asked Niall Horan this, and he said sometimes when you're in the back of the car and people are pummeling on the car when he was with One Direction, he said, yeah, it's a little bit scary. You don't know what's going to happen.
It's scary. I mean, sometimes you don't, especially when you're out of North America. But it's out of love, I think. It definitely is out of love.
Sure, I know. And then, again, it's an and situation.
Exactly.
You can be scary and you can.
And it's thrilling and exciting.
Yeah. Are there ever moments where you're on Facebook or you're on Instagram or something like that, and you see your friends from Pickering, your friends who you grew up with, and and they're having a little bit more of a normal life as a 19-year-old, and you go, geez, I'd like to be able to do something like that.
No.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
No.
That sounds like gratitude. That's
it
great.
is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I know there's obviously a lot of sacrifices to be made to do what I do, but then there's millions and millions more things that I get to do that are incredible that I'm sure every 19-year-old in the world would love to do. And it's not hard to forget that for me. I live in a beautiful condo in Toronto at 19 years old.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my friends come and see it. You know, it's incredible for them to see, and I'm reminded every day how incredible it is that I get to do this for a living. So I see what you're asking. Yeah, I sometimes want to be able to go to university parties and stuff.
Or go to Subway and order a sandwich and not,
And,
you know?
and you know, the answer to that is just do it still.
Do you ever put on the hat and just, you know?
I don't even care. It's just do it and take the photos and answer the questions and don't be a dick in public and live the life that you are, because that's what it is, and just own it and be grateful for what you have, and then ignore what you don't have, you know?
Well, now told me he went on a backpacking trip. Just, you know, he went to parts of the world where people might not know where One Direction is. So, I mean, there's an option too. You can always just, you know.
If you want, yeah.
Yeah, you can try and find yourself. Because he said, you know, like yourself, you can pass by the Eiffel Tower. You probably can't go up to it. It'll be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Anyway, listen, that's enough on that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of the cool things that you've been doing. I mean, just through singing a duet with Taylor Swift in front of a stadium full of fans, performing the Queen on her 92nd birthday, carpool karaoke with James Corden, having your song be the anthem of Portugal's World Cup team.
Dude, I think that's one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah.
Because I played soccer for 7 years when I was a kid, and my idol, my hero is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah. Had a good game the other day.
Oh my God, best game ever.
It was amazing.
And I'm a serious
I can
Portugal
tell.
fan.
Yeah, I can tell.
So when that was just so insane to me, you know, to be able to sing the anthem for the team. I wish you could come see a show in Portugal. It's like no other. The level is so loud of the amount that people are screaming and singing the words that it almost overtakes the PA of the sound system that I'm singing through.
How's that feel?
It's great. I mean, it's intense, but it's awesome. It's just, you know, Portugal goes hard.
Do you feel like you? Do you feel like are there still people who are able to ground you? Like when you see your old friends from Pickering, are they able to talk to you just like Shawn, who they played hockey with, or Shawn, who they hung out with?
My friends couldn't care less if any of this was going on, or if it was, you know, like, you know, I think that's the thing.
Because people change, man. Like,
yeah.
People change around you. People you've known for a million years, family members can change too, right? You know?
It's funny, everybody thinks about celebrities like they're the only people who are changing.
Yeah.
Imagine all the people around a celebrity as they become famous start to change the way they treat them, you know?
I went to a book signing. I was at Chapters one time down in Richmond, and I heard all this screaming happening. And it was Justin Bieber's mom was doing it, and I thought, she didn't ask for any of this. She's just a person, you know? She's just, you know?
It's a funny thing, but I think, you know, in life you change regardless of if you're famous or whatever you do for a living. You get a new job, you move to a new place, you meet somebody new, and you're changing, but it's just not put under the limelight like how it is celebrities. So changing is just a very vague term, you know. Well,
speaking of changing, this record is being seen as a change for you. It's being written about as a more quote unquote grown up record. Does it feel that way for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that's funny is, as an artist, you make a record. It takes you 6 months, a year, maybe longer sometimes.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if I made that record in October, fast forward 6 months, maybe even a year and a half, that first song that I wrote in October, I was literally a different person. And then I wrote that in October. 6 months and a year before that is when I released my album before that. So everybody thinks of me from how I was writing music 2 years ago.
Right.
So as everybody's saying it's grown up and mature, like that, for me, it's just me, you know, and I'm already now 6 months ahead of where this record is. So I think it's just like actually a genuine representation of where I am.
Where are you now then? If you're 6 months after even this record?
I think musically, like I'm just learning so much. Like I've just started really getting into like older rock and not even older rock, just like things a few years before me that I you know,
what?
like the older rock, the Killers, like for instance, that I didn't understand how incredible they were until like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Did you ever see them?
Yeah, I got to see them live at Lollapalooza. Dude, it was insane.
Yeah, I saw them at the Skydome a while ago.
Blew my mind, and it's just like being able to like learn about new music that you had no idea about. Making my last 3 albums, and now I've discovered this new act who I'm so inspired by, is now an entire new reason to make another album.
Are you confident that you can take people with you, people who have been fans of you since you were on Vine, people who know, you know, they know Stitches, they know these songs?
Yeah, because
that you can push it a little bit?
A lot of making music is, a lot of artists like to say make music for you first and foremost, which I agree with, but for me, it's a little different. I make music for me first and foremost, but I also really love making music for people. Like I love writing a song and watching somebody else really enjoy it, you know?
Right.
So 50% of it is for me, do I love it? And then 50% of it is will they love it? And so yeah, as long as I think I'm hopefully staying conscious of that, yeah.
But of that 50%, will they love it? Is there any
Doubt that they will love it?
Well, that sure, go ahead.
Yeah, of course. You have no idea if they're gonna love it. You just hope, and then that's why I've been so blown away by the reaction of this album, because I took a chance and I broke through in a couple genres and did a little more R&B, did a little bit more, rock, and people connected with it. They could have easily not connected with it,
Well, it's kind of your Bad Liar record. I mean, I remember when Selena Gomez put out Bad Liar, all of a sudden people who weren't necessarily tuned into her before.
Yeah.
A lot of maybe older rock folks
Sure.
and older indie folks were, all of
Yeah.
a sudden she was cool and she was one of them. It feels like people are talking about this record. It seems like a new audience for you too.
It is. A lot of older dudes will come up to me on the streets and be like, "I love Lost in Japan," and that's a really cool feeling for me,
Yeah, these grizzled old Guns N' Roses
If a guy
fans.
comes up with a beard and he has a real beard and he says he likes the music, and that's very cool, because now
You talk about me right now. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what's going on?
If you can break, like age or anything, if somebody who's 12 and somebody who's 55, not saying you look 55,
Thank you. I appreciate
loves
that.
the music, then it's awesome.
I'm actually 54, so
You're
I'm not too upset about it. But do you feel any pressure? Do you feel any pressure to follow this stuff up?
To follow it up, yeah.
Follow up the success you've already had.
And I think most artists put more pressure on themselves than anybody else.
What does that look like? What does that feel like? That pressure.
It's just it's just a nonstop internal battle with yourself. The pressure. One thing that I always think about is pressure creates diamonds, and so without that pressure, I think the care wouldn't be there to make work that you really think is incredible, and then the success wouldn't be there. So that pressure ultimately creates the success.
There's a great old, Billy Joe Shaver's a great country singer. He has a great song called I'm just an old chunk of coal, but I'm going to be a diamond someday.
There you go.
There you go. Speaking of your collaborators on this record, a lot of this record was produced by you and Teddy Geiger, who, while you were recording, came out as transgender. It must have been incredibly powerful to witness. What was it like to be there for her at that time?
Teddy and I have been friends for a long time. She wrote Stitches, which was the reason I'm, here today.
Yeah.
And
I heard it on the way here.
yeah, and it's funny, it still plays on the radio. Yeah. We had an immediate kinetic connection, just immediately. And every session after that, I went on to write Treat You Better with her and Mercy and Holding Me Back and In My Blood, and eventually was like, I have to do the album with her. When that happened, it was such a big moment in her, the biggest thing that happened in her life as we were creating the biggest album of my life. Mm-hmm. So there was so much energy and so much emotion that I think it actually fueled the fire of creating the album. And it's a little difficult for me to explain, but I think for anybody that ever questions transgender, if they had one of their best friends decide to go through with it, it takes a couple weeks to get used to referring to someone as a pronoun that you're not used to. Mm-hmm. I remember the first time I referred to Teddy as a she, and she looked at me with this sense of joy, and I mean the sense of joy that you really don't see very often. She was so happy internally because I nonchalantly just referred to her as a she, as I do. And in that moment, everything was just like, wow, if everybody could see this, there would be no questions anymore.
So what's the role for people like you and me, for cis men like you and me, to be allies?
What do you mean?
Well, what's our role? What should we be amplifying other people's voices? Should we be making room? Should we be speaking too much ourselves?
Do what you feel is right.
Yeah. This has to be something you think about, because I'm not the only one asking you about this.
Totally. Yeah. There's too much focus on who is saying this, mm-hmm. and because he said it, it's wrong. But if somebody else said it, it would have been right. I think genuinely do what you feel is right, and I think authenticity is what people are attracted to. And if you believe something, I think talk about it. Now, don't talk about something you don't know much about and you're mm-hmm. talking about because you think you have to. Don't do that either. I also think that's wrong. Mm-hmm. But I think our role is just to do what we think is right, as is everybody else's role. And it's no more than anyone else's role than, You know, so it's a difficult thing to explain. It's a funny place kind of everyone's into, but yeah.
It's an interesting time to talk to you, especially given that question, because I know in the past you said you want to create more than just music that goes away after a couple of months. Now, and I don't just mean that it still gets played on Chum,
Yeah.
and, everything like that, but you want it to last and you want it to make a difference.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I want to create stuff that breaks the boundaries of time and
Oh, you mean like it'll
timeless. We create timeless music that affects people today the same as it would affect people 20 to 50 years from now. And at the same time, I'm not just thinking I want to create music. I also want to make a difference in the world, and I want to help, and I want to, use my voice and use music to take steps forward and help people take steps forward.
Well, how do you do that?
I think honesty, and I keep coming back to just authenticity and honesty. And
you don't necessarily live in a world that values it, right?
No, it's not just me. Everybody, like this, it's so easy to lie and so easy to just follow a group of people and what their views and their opinions are, and then you begin to believe that, Yeah. And I think step one to making a difference in a better way is just honesty.
Nice to meet you.
You too,
I'm
man.
a big fan of your music.
Thank you.
Nice to have you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.